we have a lot of agreement on these issues and trying to get people to consider each other's arguments, regardless of your political party or your skin color or what town you're from, whatever the tribal separation is, and we say that we see that there's polarization. We see that people no longer can hear what the other person's saying because of preconceived notions about who they are.
Right.
But is that everybody? Is that us, or is that certain leaders that want to kind of manipulate us?
Right.
And politics is great at this, right? It's great at manipulating us not to vote for me, but to vote against those guys because those guys are going to destroy this country.
Right. Yeah. Well, I think it's a little bit of both. I think that on the one hand, the structures are set up in a way to where, whether you're talking about the political parties themselves, the media establishments, even the way I think to a degree universities are increasingly operating, there's a degree to which within the formal kind of political classes, power is derived through polarization, through making sure that people are balkanized and tribalized so that on the one hand you're able to leverage people in opposition against one another, while on the other hand, through people's fear and distrust of each other, prevent them from looking as critically as they might at the institutions that they're supporting or at the news channel that they're patronizing, because of the fact that they're just too wrapped up in opposing the other group to notice what's going on in their own camp, right?
Yeah.
And so that's the incentive structure that exists, I think, in the media and in the parties, and it makes the type of social progress that I think we want to see much more difficult. But I also think that those systems couldn't work that way if it weren't the case that there were not honest disagreements that existed between the American people that were genuinely intractable.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, this country was built on deep-seated philosophical disagreements. But you fast forward a couple hundred years, you introduce the massive sort of influx of information technology, increase our own ability to sort of silo off the information we receive, the way in which we communicate with one another. You begin to suck the life out of local communities so that neighbors don't talk to each other anymore. And you insert massive sort of demographic change over the course of several decades in a way that introduces, new cultures and new ways of speaking and looking at the world and so forth that don't always translate across these experiential lines from one group to another. Well, even without the perverse kind of incentive structure of the political establishment, you still got a recipe for major misunderstanding between people. So, it's a problem that has to be changed, that has to be engaged on the structural level, but even more so, I think, or even more fundamentally, on the cultural level. And so that does tend to be where I focus a lot of my energy in both of those directions, but I do think that culture is the foundation where you have to begin.